Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the show. I hate it when this thing messes with my hair. Can't do anything about it, though. Such is life. Such is life when you're good looking. Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Sean, also known as Potentially Criminal. I am an attorney in the Cleveland, Ohio area. Today, we're going to be talking about enough of it's come out, and there's been so much I wanted to see the aftermath of with Karen Reed. Do you guys remember on Wednesday, she was acquitted of murder, manslaughter, let me see in the accident, only convicted of simple misdemeanor DUI, which you're like, yeah, that is the biggest screw you to the state in the Commonwealth and all the anti-Karen Reed people out there, because the jury's just saying, we're giving her a slap on the wrist. You didn't convince us. Since this has come out, we've heard from multiple people on the jury. We've heard from 4 of them so far, and that's actually quite a bit. And we know there are distinct people on the jury. We've heard from the foreman. We've heard from a couple others as well. And it's been very revealing. And not only that, but the Twitter war, as I put in the title, the losers are still coping, and the salt is still being mined, chat. There is so much salt from the anti-Karen Reed community. Oh my God. Let me tell you what out there, chat. Salt is a way of life for the anti-Karen Reed people right now. That's all they do.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt.
That's all they are. It's just salt right now. Just everything from the anti-Karen Reed community is just salt. Not only did the jurors give interviews, but the McCabe's and the Alberts gave an interview. We got a little bit of their information. And then just the anti-Karen Reed people. Like the towel boy, I guess. I don't know. I guess he realized all he's doing now is cleaning up Hank's mess. That's all he is. He got thrown away like he used cum rag. I don't know. That's kind of what happens, the towels. Just everybody else in general, just the coping and the seething. John DePetro has lost his goddamn mind. I mean, it's very interesting. Even David Yannetti fucking got into the middle of this and started throwing hands at people. It took some shots. It is getting good, chat. We've got get your popcorn out. It's only going to get better from here. It's only going to get better. Luke says, Sulfa fat man. Yes. Hold on here. Let's see. Where is real quick? Somebody wanted to. Yes, no matter what they say, every one of them voted how they did just to keep my lock of the week on an L streak. I mean, guys, I honestly thought Karen Reed was going to get another hung jury. I did. I still thought that was number 1. I did tell you honestly, though, Karen Reed getting acquitted was the late surge. And I told you at the time, hung jury was going to be, I thought was still the likely verdict. I thought it was still going to be hung jury. But then what did I say was number 2 in second place? In second place, you had convicted of a lesser and full acquittal. And those 2 were in second place. And second place was nipping on the heels of first place. So I wasn't really that far off. I didn't think she was going to get convicted of the murders. I didn't think any of that was going to happen. So I'm willing to take the L on that. I was mainly wrong, but I got part of it right. So I'll take it. Super Snidicul says I'm late. But was I? I don't think so. You could go join the anti-Karen Reed people and cope. Cope. All right. See who else here. There are a couple other comments and things. Zandy says X has been quite the shit show as of late. Yes, it has. It's only going to get worse. And we're going to talk about why it's going to get worse. 4M470, it's good to see you. Hope you're doing well. It says, thank you for your attention to this matter. You're welcome. Your concern is noted. Jefferson Post says, all that salt's going to cause some high blood pressure. And some of these people need to take blood pressure medication or just learn to chill. This is going to destroy people. And we're watching people destroy their own careers and their standings in communities right now. Unhung Hero has been a member for 16 months. Thank you for that. 16 months. That's a long, long time. I appreciate it very much. It says, Suffa Hank, Suffa Lally. Will the case reopen or is it too late? It's too late. They can't accuse absent somebody admitting, there's nothing else you can do because they spent how many years and how many trials saying, Karen Reed's the bad lady, Karen Reed's the bad lady, over and over and over again. They can't now turn around and say, oh, wait, it's this guy instead. We were wrong the entire time. Because if they are wrong the entire time, well, how are you not wrong now? Like, that's the issue. When you go too hard in the paint, you kind of leave yourself open to a lot of critique if it turns out you're wrong. Because, well, if it's not her, who is it? Now they have to go, well, and now they're in trouble. And now they're in trouble, and this doesn't work for them. So I don't think this is what they wanted. And I think ultimately they're going to, they're going to ruin them. They're going to ruin things for themselves. They're going to ruin things for themselves. Mm-hmm. And also, why did my camera move all weird? So, hold on, chat. I got to fix this. There we go. And then Unhung Hero gifted 10 subs. Thank you for the support, Unhung Hero, and your generosity. I appreciate it. Elfpire Ava is a new member. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it very, very much. And also for $10, says, great to catch your stream as always. I've been watching you shut down the Twitter bomb very effectively. I can't believe other lawyers are attacking the jury over the decision. Well, it's only really one. They're not really lawyers. They're not really lawyers. Like, they have a law degree, but that having a law degree does not make one a lawyer. Having a law degree does not make you a lawyer. Just like having a medical degree really doesn't make you a doctor. It means you know some things and you sat through school. So we'll get to the disasters that are going on here. So I guess we'll start off with some of the interviews. You guys already know who we're talking about here. So I think we start off with the juror interviews and the juror information, because that is truly what I think is the most important here. Yeah, we can watch people cope and seethe and whine and maul and piss and shit themselves later. And we'll do that. We'll do that. But I just, we'll do that. And we'll do that in a minute here. But the ultimate thing is, why is this? Hold on here. Why is this? Where is? I'm trying to find the Trooper Proctor stuff. I don't see it right now. Well, we'll come back to Proctor in a minute. Anyways, we're going to start out with the foreman. The foreman got interviewed. The foreman came out to the Boston Herald and sat down with them. And what did we learn? Well, this guy gave a very interesting interview, and I think it's worth looking at here. So this is the foreman. This is the guy that Bev made foreman, juror number 5, I think, at the time, and became juror number 1. Karen Reed Foreman breaks the silence. So what happened here? So juror number 1 said there was no aha moment in the grueling case. Think about that. He's like, there was no aha moment in this. He said the unforgivable fact is they didn't swarm the murder scene at the house. And he says it was shoddy work and it was a blatant red flag. And he brings up a great point. If there was a body on my front steps, my house would have been stormed and searched. The juror, who is black and grew up in Boston's Jamaica Plains, said, that's important. Yes, if this was anybody else, if this was anyone else, this was going to be tough. This was going to be the idea, we wouldn't have enough probable cause. This guy's out in front of your house, not properly clothed, and he was supposed to be at your house. they're getting a search warrant for you. If this is any of you, and there's a body found out in the yard in front of your house, and you happen to know who it is, be prepared. They're going to get a search warrant. Oh yeah, we invited him over, but he never came. They're getting a search warrant. But here's the thing, James. This black guy knew his house would have been raided. Yes, but you know what? This is why having a jury composed of the community is important, because this guy used, and you know what? He may have had bad interactions with the police, being black, the cops, like all the things that the black community hates about the police and suspicious over. He brought that into the jury though and said, look, guys, this is bullshit. The smell test doesn't work here. This doesn't pass the smell test. We would have been raided. This is garbage, and you know that. That's why it's important to have these people. That's why it's important they bring in their experiences. It becomes an issue there. It's very important. It's very important that, you bring in your experiences. He says, also, the text from Trooper Proctor showed a serious bias, yet I had to put my personal opinion aside. It all seemed like a lot of wishy-washy privilege. We had to look at the evidence, and it didn't make a lot of sense. There was no meat, no aha moment. No one proved there was a collision, even with all the jargon. And all the jurors agreed, yes. Dr. Welcher coming in there, nobody seemed to care about what Dr. Welcher had to say. Now, this is where it gets interesting when you guys read through this, okay? He asked his name not be revealed. He spoke with the Boston Herald. He has 3 kids. He knew both Dzhokhar Tsarnaev and Tamerlan Tsarnaev, the Boston bombers. He knew them. He knew the guys who did the Boston Marathon bombing. And the funny thing is, wow. The juror revealed that his wife was working at MIT the night they killed a cop there. And they would engage in the gunfight with the police. His wife took a train home, avoiding the trouble. He works with at-risk youth in Dorchester, and he bet most Dzhokhar and his brother while working at a charter school in the city. That's a pretty, like I said, guys, jurors have amazing stories. They have amazing stories. Isn't that pretty cool? That's the reason why I don't like professional jurors. I don't like professional jurors. You want people having cross sections of your community coming in. Okay. And he said he's still struggling with the whirlwind case. At times he gaze over at John's mom, Peggy. And he said he still added the jury couldn't lock up Karen on the measly evidence presented. The foreman also brought up and talked about the verdict that was pulled away. Was over the one male juror who got the jitters. And he said, at lunch, I asked the juror, are you okay? And the guy says, do you think I'd take back my vote? And the other jurors got a little nervous, but 20 minutes later, he said, okay, guilty of DUI. So it sounds like they were already guilty of DUI, and he's like, wait, I need more time. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So they were already done. Now, you guys might say, well, wait, he can't talk. He's allowed to talk about what happened in there. He's the only person allowed to talk about what happened in that room. The jurors are the only people allowed. So he could talk about how the voting went, who voted what, how things were going. He can do all that. He could do all that. It was the only charge they all agreed on. It was the only clear evidence without a doubt. So we only went with what was in front of us. And he said, and this is true, these jurors, all the jurors mentioned this. Where is the justice for John O'Keefe? The jurors went their ways, but they've all agreed to meet soon to try and make sense of this case. Probably not going to happen with the lunatics running around. So. And then we get to another juror, Paula Prado. And this woman has given a lot of interviews. She spoke with Jess Machado and Jess did a Substack on her. And this woman has caught the ire of Grant Shit Smell Us, the towel guy, and John DePetro. You're going to see the wheels fall off these people here very quickly. I'm sorry, it's Grant Smith Ellis. It does sound like Grant Shit Smell Us. I at least that's what I thought his name was. And somebody said, well, you shouldn't make fun of him. He's disabled. And I'm like, that explains a lot of things. That explains a lot of things about him. I remember watching his stream one day and he's like, they're stainless steel. He's a towel. And I'm like, I don't get it. Anyways, Paula Prado says she was disgusted by how much taxpayer money was used. And she said, it's not our fault that they didn't find out who killed John O'Keefe. The Commonwealth in the investigation, they couldn't prove that it was Karen Reed. And she said, I hope the O'Keefes could really find out who killed John. Well, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And yes, what did Michael Morrissey say? The jury has spoken. Well, and you know what? That's appropriate. That is very appropriate that you would do that. Like, that one makes sense. The jury's spoken. We are done. And I can respect that. I can work with that. I can work with that one. So, like I said, it all. Hold on here. What is? Hold on here, guys. I was looking for the wrong thing here. It all just makes it clear what's happened here. And Brad, you bring up a great point here, Brad, and I think this is true. When you look at the circumstantial evidence, it says somebody in the house did it. Yes. It really does. That's the crazy thing. That's the craziest thing of all in this. Just looking at it for 10,000 feet. You would think, wow, the people in the house had something to do with this. So, I just, yes, Michael Morrissey's thing with I hereby resign July 1st, but these people are cowards. They don't have the stones to do all that stuff. They don't have all the stones to do that stuff. They don't have the stones. Stephanie says, Krusty, yes, Kate Peter, Krusty Panties and Grant need to take the L. They won't, though. And it's funny because I will say, everybody involved in this case, they kept on screaming, Karen Reed's the cult. Karen Reed's the cult. And now that the cult, now that they've lost, they can't disengage from the reality and narrative they constructed for themselves. And as the case is so many times, the people screaming about cults are the people usually in a cult themselves. And they're in a cult, and they can't find their way out of it. They've constructed a reality that doesn't match up now. The narratives they've built are collapsing, and they can't compensate for it. As I said to Runkle on his stream with David Yannetti and Bob Alessi, the psychiatrist and the therapist in the Boston area are going to own boats before the summer is over with the amount of lunatics they're going to need help talking through what happened. And also buy some stock in Ativan and Xanax. It's good. There's going to be a lot of it being used. So, yes, Miss Reed, you're all set. Yes. They've gone straight to jury tampering, and we're going to get to all that. We're going to get to all of that. We are going to get to all that. But anyways, we're going to get to Paula Prado because she ended up speaking to Jess Machado, and I think it's important. She had an exclusive interview right away with Paula Prado. And guys, Jess has been covering she has been covering this very, very well. She's been covering it alongside Turtle Boy. Like her and Turtle Boy have like worked out. I've actually reached out to Jess to see if she would come do an interview and kind of talk about the trial and all of that, but just the time on the ground and kind of being in the middle of this, because this was, if you guys don't understand, this has been like a doxing and internet civil war being waged in the Boston area. I know some of the accounts, like people have like found each other out in the real world and taken pictures of each other. And there's all kinds of crazy shit that went down with all of this. It's very interesting how that happened. And I tried to reach out to her on DMs. I hope she's got it, or if she blew me off, that's fine too. But I sent her DM. I'm hoping I can reach out to her because I'd love to talk to Turtle Boy, but I'm really fucking worried because like I know he's got his case coming up, and I mean like I'd love to talk to Turtle Boy too, but I also know he's super busy. So, but yes, there have been a lot of gay ops going on. It sounds like, from what I can tell. And we're going to get to all these things here, but this interview with Paula Prado is very important. So she says, first of all, do you think this happened? Do you think Karen Reed actually killed him? And she says, on the first day of trial, I observed Karen's demeanor. I was suspicious. It felt like she was hiding something. Her confidence gave off an impression of arrogance. And Chad, I've mentioned this before, and if you guys aren't aware, if you guys are new, my name's Sean. I'm an attorney in the Cleveland, Ohio area. Okay, I do a lot of criminal defense work. I go to trial. Okay, I've had 36, felony trials at this point, jury trials. Trials are about sales. You're selling a narrative. You're asking the jury to buy into a narrative. If the jury thinks, and part of that is, are you amicable? Are you affable? Can people like you? Are you okay? Can you relate to them? More importantly, can your client relate to them? Do they like your client? If they hate your client, you're in trouble. They thought Karen was a little bit of an arrogant bitch. Thankfully, that first impression didn't carry the day. But it was a realistic problem for her. This was I hope you guys understand, it is about how you look and how you act. So I know there's people out there who think, as an attorney, all you do is I take the law, I take the facts, and that's what I have. No, there's so much more to a trial than just law and facts. You've got to deal with basic human psychology. You're dealing with anthropology and sociology, how we interact, how we look at things. The law and the facts could be on your side and you're still in trouble. There's so much to a trial. And on this scale, it is critical that you have to understand that and how you go through it. But this is something you need to consider, guys. This juror, and we're going to hear Paula Prado talk. She's one of the biggest, I thought Karen's 100% innocent at the beginning. It's like, fuck this bitch. She said, over time, I came to understand I was looking at a woman who had already lost so much. And she ended up realizing I admired that fact. She was calm and composed and actively involved. She's like, I was initially inclined to find her guilty, at least of manslaughter. But the more holes we saw, I don't believe she was responsible. And she says, for the past 3 weeks, so go back 3 weeks. Where were we 3 weeks ago, guys? Well, now 4 weeks ago. Hank was in the middle of wrapping up his case. So even as Hank was at the fever pitch of his case 3 weeks ago, Aperture was coming in. And this lady's already like, this case is dog shit. She's like, I already don't believe it. I became uncomfortable saying she didn't kill him. Wow. Wow. That is profound. That is profound, you guys. That is profound. That even in the middle of Hank's case, she said, don't care. Don't care. We don't know how. So it is something to see. And she says, do you feel that Bev favored either side? And she's like, I'm not going to say favored, but during the defense's case, I noticed a lot more of I'll allow it being said right after objections from the defense. I think she means the prosecution. I understand that certain words or facts can't be introduced. Sometimes attorneys try to get something in by asking questions they know will be objected to. She says, but still, Dr. Russell was hard to follow due to the constant sustained objections from the Commonwealth. And Hank's strategy worked. It was hard to follow along. That's why Hank did. Guys, remember, there are strategies. Sometimes you're objecting. Sometimes you're objecting just to fuck up and throw off the other side. You're trying to make it hard to follow. I mean, it's once you're in the middle of a role, when you're in a groove and a vibe, people objecting ruin it. Who is the most memorable witness? And she says Yuri Buchanan. And she's like, I was in the first row. And she said, I could see him clench his fist a few times. It was very tense. And she said, Arca was memorable for different reasons. They made a lot of technical information finally make sense. And she says, do you believe that John O'Keefe's injuries were caused by a dog? Yes. And she said, I have my own theories. I don't see those injuries coming from a taillight at all. Plus, the lack of more injuries on his body made it hard to believe a collision occurred. I agree. Either John wasn't hit, or if Karen did hit John, John had an indestructible right arm. And we should have studied it for science. And she said, did you know Arca was first contacted? No, she said, I assumed it was the FBI after one of the witnesses mentioned another agency. What did you think of Karen speaking in the clips? And they said, I think she wanted to speak her truth without having to go on a stand. And it says, those interviews gave her better control of the narrative. I also think it was a strategic move by the defense. Her alcohol use was an undeniable fact. Yeah. And they, and I think if you had to ask those jurors, remember, Hank was showing these 10, 20-second jump cuts. It's very clear you were clearly cutting out little bits and pieces of things. So I think the jury saw right through that. And Hank went to all this trouble, when he thought he had a smoking gun only for a DUI. And remember, chat, what I told you. This was a DUI trial from the very beginning. And London turned out to be a DUI. So, did you feel like convicting Karen of OUI was the right thing, or how did you feel? And he said, absolutely not. She says, the only charge I strongly believe the Commonwealth proved. She had said I was buzzed, I shouldn't have driven. My alertness was where it shouldn't have been. And remember, guys, that's enough to convict someone of DUI. Your own statements. And they said, what witnesses do you trust the most? She trusted people like Maureen, Hartnett, and Test Chart. Test Chart testified in the first trial, not the second trial. Unless that's a bit of an issue there. They also all believe Dr. La Posada and Isaac Wolf, the neurologist from the prosecution. And they say, who did you trust the least? Kelly Deaver. Her behavior in court made me question whether it's safe for someone who acts like that to be carrying a gun among civilians. Oof, man, I could see her fucking, imagine somebody like Deaver stopping you and just being a cunt on a traffic stop. They said, "Was it hard for you to be part of this jury?" And she's like, "Well, yeah, I have kids, and I don't have a large workload because I'm the caregiver." She said, "I asked my father to help out as well, and he came from Brazil." So she's Brazilian by origin initially, and she says having this part taken care of, I was happy there. She said, "I didn't mind to leave the house every day." I'm sure she did want to hang out with her kids, as my kids would say, because she's going to help the judge. And she said, "I honestly felt like I was reliving my old life as an attorney before I had kids." And see, guys, she has a law degree. She has legal training. Normally, I will say this trial and the trial before have kind of changed my view. Do I want attorneys on the jury? And I'm starting to think I might want to start having them on the jury. So I pick at times. It might be relevant. It might be relevant to have juries. It really might be critical and important to do. I think I might want that. Yes, they let a lawyer on the jury. They did this time around, and they did the first time around. Remember, the their expert Victoria George, like she was an alternate, and the defense brought her on the team as like a jury consultant. So yeah, no, I don't want Wendy Murphy. Not every attorney, but the idea that you might want an attorney on the jury is actually kind of impressive. Take on the jury. Oh no. No, because the jurors might kill him in the jury room. Remember, nobody's allowed in there but the jury, so that he'll be killed and stuffed in the bathroom. And we come back in court, and the judge is like, "Why is there only 11 of you?" "Oh, Hank, yeah, he disappeared. We don't know where he's at. Who killed him?" "I don't know." And here's the one thing, Creed, I do think they bring up the test chart thing. Tess's information was all over all those documents. And yes, she was a step in, but I don't know clearly how that all worked out. But remember, she has also seen the case since then, so she could have learned information in a day or two. Yes, she's a lawyer in Brazil. Yes. So I think it does help. I think it does help. I mean, there's this trial, like I told you guys, every trial I learned something. And this trial really has kind of forced me to change my views on who I want on a jury. I mean, there's times where I do want smart people. I like having engineers. I like having teachers on juries. I like having nurses on juries. I'm not so sure anymore that I should be scared of having an attorney on a jury. Normally, most attorneys, and Runkle mentioned this too, the classical wisdom is conventional wisdom. Somebody on you're going through the jury questionnaires, attorney, gone, cop, gone. Yeah, like I don't want those people on a jury. So now getting back to this though, let's see here. She said it made me think about studying and learning more about American law, maybe working in the legal field again. This wasn't a burden. And she says, I want to speak, ultimately, she says, I was a jury who left the courtroom in tears. And it wasn't because justice had been served for Karen Reed. I cried for Mrs. O'Keefe, Paul, and everyone in John's family. They did not get their justice. And she brings up the ultimate point. We didn't fail the O'Keefes. Hank did. The police did. And that's true. This is the most critical thing here. Hank, when it comes to the police failing, in this situation, the police failed to do their job. The prosecutor failed to do their job. The defense did their job. In a football game, if the linebacker sacks the quarterback, you don't blame the linebacker. You blame the offensive lineman for not protecting the quarterback. The quarterback throws an interception. You don't go out there and, go after the quarterback or the safety for intercepting the pass. No, you blame the quarterback for throwing a pick, or you blame the wide receiver for running the wrong route. The defense did their job, and the jury did their job. That's what happened here. There's nobody to blame but the police and the prosecution. It's very true. It's very, very true. Miko says, I don't think anybody should feel bad for Peggy. She's an evil lady. Well, I don't feel bad for him either. And I don't feel bad for Paul because, you sit there and Paul not like Law House. Jury people let Karen lady walk free. Paul sad. Yes, Paul sad. Brazilian butt lady, not like Paul's story. Oh. So Paul not smart. Well, no, Spoony Samurai says Law House. So that's because Paul looks like a Neanderthal. So that's how I assume Paul talks in his mind. Paul not like Law House. Paul not like law people. Paul acted like an asshole, yes. Paul's acted like an asshole before. He allegedly showed up the last trial drunk. No, Paul's insufferable, so I don't feel bad about him getting felted. They deserve it. They deserve to be felted on this. Now, moving on to other things that have happened, guys, as far as interviews. Ian Runkle gave a monster interview. If you guys didn't know, a monster interview here with David Yannetti and Bob Alessi. And he went for hours on a chat. Like this was the thing. Bob Alessi and David Yannetti, he did a live interview with them on Friday night. I watched it. I watched the whole thing. It was absolutely, guys, absolutely kino. It was top tier entertainment. It was very informative listening to Bob and David, both very seasoned and experienced attorneys. I learned a lot as I've only been an attorney for 11 years now. Wow. Feels like I just fucking started. I've been only doing this 11 years. I learned a lot from listening to these guys. You learn a lot from these people. And if you guys don't know, it's Ian Runkle. You can find him here at Runkle, Runkle the Bailey, or at Ian Runkle here on Twitter. You could find him at on YouTube at Runkle of the Bailey. And he is an attorney out in Canada, does a lot of defense work out there, but he did he did do the interview. If you guys haven't seen it, it's phenomenal work that he did there. Listening to both those guys. Yeah, and these guys are best friends forever now. Yannetti and Alessi are like broskies. I also didn't realize Yannetti was in his 60s already, but that makes sense. And Bob Alessi's 67. So, yeah. Now, what happened with Runkle? There was a guy named Mike Martin who came out and did the most scumbag thing ever. He basically took took Runkle's picture here and he cut it out and he removed all the audio from Runkle talk because Runkle did a very good interview. He let them talk. He let these guys talk and he stayed out of the way. He basically took Runkle's thing, crossed out Runkle, inserted his own picture into this. I'm not joking. He inserted his own picture into this. He then put his own picture over this, overlaid it. He put himself here. And he overlaid himself asking questions and it sounded like an interview when people are on the radio. If you guys have ever noticed where like you live in a town and the radio host is apparently having an interview with a famous actor or a famous comedian. No. Kevin Hart's not calling the #1 radio show in Fargo, North Dakota. It's all pre-programmed interviews where somebody interviews Kevin Hart and then you're given the questions that were asked and then then you just hit play on the spots and the prompts. And the guy basically ripped off Runkle's interview. I mean, it was a thing. And Runkle, as he did here, he said, and there's the nuke. Normally I don't send these out, but it's well-deserved. And Runkle copyright took down that guy. So, oh. Yeah, it's Joe says, shouldn't YouTube give a permanent ban? No. YouTube gives people multiple chances, but certainly this guy got a copy strike. So this guy's got one strike on his thing. Yes. Kevin Hart's not calling the toe in Minnesota. Yes. I should do the same thing, but have Alessi and Yannetti praising me. That would be hilarious. Maybe I'll do a short clip. You're such a very good attorney, Sean. Like, oh. Is there any way to watch this guy's interview anymore? No, I think that this guy's thing got removed. I don't, yeah. And yes, pirating a lawyer interviewing two lawyers is not a very smart move. All right, guys. So moving on from there, we have a couple different people who talked. And one of them is, let me see. Why is this not? We're going to get to here. This is Paula Prado talking. If you guys have not seen her, this is her coming in to talk.
And what made you come forward to actually share your experience about being a juror in this high-profile case?
I actually want to give a message to the family, make them understand that, or at least hear us out saying it's not our fault that Karen Reed was innocent. I mean, the Commonwealth and the investigation couldn't actually prove and show evidence enough to make us convict her of anything. So I want to come out to let them know that we feel for them. Like, I personally feel for them a lot. I'm a mother, and it broke my heart to see the family leaving the courthouse on that day. But it wasn't her fault, and I hope they find who did it.
Let's talk
Never going to find who did it.
about the verdict and how you guys came to this conclusion.
At first, most of us were on the same page pretty much. We were shocked with so many holes in the case presented to us. But there was some people who had questions, and we were there those 4 days to answer those questions. Where a heated argument, like, oh my God, we disagree and everything, no. But we had some disagreements about this evidence X or Y, and we talked through it. We were very respectful of each other, and we came out to the agreement.
Was there any particular evidence that you guys were really stumped on?
For me, specifically the taillight, we all took a look close to the taillight, and we couldn't make the taillight, the image on the taillight, the original taillight, compatible with the injuries on his body. Mm-hmm. So having a...
And guys, another juror, and I'm going to leave, I don't want to interview too much, take up too much of Paula's interview here. There's another juror who came out and talked, and he talked with TMZ, and he explained some other issues with the tail light. And it's actually very interesting what they focused on and how they focused on stuff. And we're going to get to the clip of the actual tail light thing here. So we're going to move on to the next guy who talks. And as far as things are, hold on here. Where hold on here. Why did I lose? Hold on, guys. I lost my tab here. I'm sorry. Was Juror 12 was a TMZ guy? I don't know which guys they are. Yeah, organized in folders. Yes, I have my tabs organized. You can't organize in folders if you're using tabs. But it was very interesting that the guy spoke with TMZ, gave a lot of information about what they wanted and what they were supporting. And ultimately here, and this right, I forgot I lost the spot. Hold on. So we're going to get to from here. This is actually, I think, kind of one of the big spots, you guys, for us to look at. This is from the juror that TMZ interviewed. And I'm sure this guy made a lot of money because, like, why not? Get your bag. So here we go.
In your view, she was innocent. What compels you to think that?
Well, one thing that I think that compels me is we did a lot of review of the tapes, and it seemed to me that the videos that we could see from the car after the alleged incident happened, that when we could see the taillight, it was lit up red where it shouldn't just have been red. So that leaves to me a conclusion of, well, how come it's red in this video after the alleged collision happened, and then it's it's not, it doesn't have any red pieces where it should be red.
So in other words, you do not believe that SUV made contact with John O'Keefe?
I don't believe that the SUV collided with John O'Keefe.
What was the initial?
And guys, if you don't know what they're talking about here, this video is what they're talking about. It's this video as Karen has already left John O'Keefe's, or she's at John O'Keefe's house. She's already backed up and hit his car. And as she's driving away to go get Jen McCabe and them. So this is 5 o'clock in the morning after John's been laying outside. Look at the taillight's red, and look what he shows the whole time. Remember, Hank tried to stop it when there was a piece of snow in the way, but watch as Karen drives away. The taillight's red, the taillight's red, the taillight's red, the taillight's still red, and as she hits the brakes, it lights up. I guess the taillight was still red. The taillight was still red. So, actually, it says this guy worried about whether or not I get executed is wild. Well, that's the best thing we could do. Is that a senior picture behind him surrounded by all his school pictures? I don't know. I mean, guys, remember, like, you get people in a community, like, I don't know, maybe it's his mom's house or something, or he has his old family pictures, or who really knows? Remember, everybody, people do weird stuff. You guys are focusing on the wrong thing. You're focusing on the wrong thing. If the light is still red, she didn't make him dead. Okay, I don't know if that would have worked at trial, but yes, look, the lights are, it's all lit up. And it's funny for the anti-Karen Reed people, like, there's evidence, there's evidence. This is evidence. Please explain to me why it does this. Harvey Levine's just an old guy trying to look young. Yeah, I understand, but he's looking rough. He's looking rough. He's looking rough. Wait till they find out the video is doctored by the Commonwealth. Yeah. T says, I'd be curious, how much do you think Proctor got for his 2020 interview? Well, I'm sure that they offered him $50 at this point since he's a bum without a job and no pension. I'm sure he would take $50 and a, voucher to the grocery store at this point. Yes, and the irony is they presented the videos. This is a Commonwealth exhibit. This is a Commonwealth exhibit. But it still worked. It still worked. It still worked. So what happened? We don't really know. But it's this sketchy garbage that Hank kind of forced into our view of what happened here. Now, another juror did get interviewed, and this juror is a little different than the other two so far. A little different than the other two. So this one is, I think she's juror number 8. But anyways, this is the third juror who's broken their silence, as they point out. So here we go.
Ben, good evening. Unlike the first two jurors that we've heard from who rendered their verdict of not guilty for Karen Reed, this one, juror number 12, says during those 20 hours of deliberations, she changed her mind.
I felt like if they didn't pick me, they'd be fools because I didn't know anything about this case.
Personal trainer Janet Jimenez says before this second trial of Karen Reed, one of her clients had mentioned the case, but she says other than that, she'd never heard of it. When she was picked to be juror number 12, she suddenly had a front row seat.
I couldn't help but see her because I was right. I mean, I think I had the best view in the house. She was right there. The defense was right there.
Did you form any impressions of her?
Also, real quick, chat, we should back this up just a hair. This is where the camera was the whole time, that camera we were watching. Here was the camera, and the Hank and the prosecutors were right here, and then the defense team was right here. So that's how compact this courtroom was. If you guys didn't really understand, they were sitting right next to the jurors like that. That's a very cramped courtroom.
I couldn't help but see her because I was right. I mean, I think I had the best view in the house. She was right there. The defense was right there.
Did you form any impressions of her?
No. Like I said, I knew nothing about her.
Jimenez says she filled a notebook and a half as she listened to witnesses and studied evidence over 8 weeks. She says when it came time for deliberations, she was open to listening to what the other 11 jurors had to say.
I was hoping that my fellow jurors could help me to go through all of this. So I went in with a very open mind, but definitely leaning toward that she was guilty.
Jimenez says what changed her mind is when she went looking for something in the more than 200 pieces of evidence. She won't say what that something was, but says she didn't find it.
And it was one big part that led me closer to there's a lot of doubt here.
Jimenez says there were holes in the investigation, but she stopped short of saying she believes someone else killed John O'Keefe or that there was a police cover-up.
I'm not there to say the defense's story was right or wrong. Do you know what I'm saying? Because there could have been other circumstances that happened. So I think there was things that we saw, that things that we heard, the evidence that could have fit that scenario. So again, that's the whole doubt thing.
Jimenez says there is one part of the defense story that she did not buy, what that was and what she thought about the crowds outside, coming up tonight at 6.
So remember, there are some people who are fully like, oh my God, this case is bullshit. She's just like, I just don't think the prosecutor proved it. And remember, it doesn't matter as long as they all agree on the verdict, that's all that matters. She doesn't have to be convinced something happened. And she's like, I think, I don't know if she did it, but I just can't be convinced. That's good enough. It's good enough. That's all you need. It's all you need. Thank God the others were like, lady, what the fuck? Well, hey, you know what? Doubt is doubt. Doubt is doubt. And that's all you need. You just need the doubt. You don't need them to buy in all the way. At the very least, you want them to find out. Yes, it's still a win. A dub is a dub. But I think it's important to know that not every juror bought it exactly the same way. Not every juror bought it exactly the same way. Not every juror did. So now from here, guys, we are going to move on to, I think, a bit of the cope sessions. As far as things are done, as far as the interviews. And we have people that were interviewed, and one of them was Trooper Proctor. He got interviewed by 2020. And not only did Trooper Proctor get interviewed, but the McCabe's and the Alberts got interviewed. And that was all part of the big 2020 thing they did. And you could tell they interviewed it 2 different ways as far as things are concerned. And it's just listening to Michael Proctor sit there and bullshit himself over what happened here. It's so funny. He's like, I did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. And how do you, how can you work with that? How can you work with that? And this is right here. Really just listen to Michael Proctor. This is just a great example of, him.
Did you plant evidence?
Absolutely not. And I'm laughing because it's such a ridiculous accusation. It's something I would never do. I've never done.
Most people would.
And there's no evidence of it.
We're talking about people in your community, your neighbors, who believe it. This is not strangers. This is people in Canton. Why do you think that is?
That's just the loud minority. The silent majority we've had an overwhelming amount of support. They're just not out there tweeting.
I mean, really, is it really that they're the major majority here, buddy? Is it really? They're not the major majority? I mean, a significant portion of the community thinks you're a dirty cop. And most of America thinks you're a dirty cop. That's very important. It's very, very important. What he did was absolutely disgusting. You can't trust him for a damn thing anymore. You can't trust him at all. So I love that he hides behind this and tries to act like, I didn't do nothing wrong. It's like, but you did. You did a lot wrong. And as far as things are considered, guys, moving on from there in the same interview, the Alberts and the McCabe's ended up talking. And you can see on video here, they have Chris Albert. I'm moving my head so I'm not associated with these scumbags. Chris Albert, Jill Albert, Jen McCabe's sister, Brian Albert. Remember, these two own 34 Fairview. Jen McCabe and Matt McCabe. And they gave an interview to Nightline for the 2020 thing. And just let's listen to them. Let's listen to them cope and just listen to the nonsense coming out of their mouths. Because it's very telling. It's very telling. Remember, these people destroyed phones, deleted things, did all kinds of stuff they shouldn't have done. Oh, is Nicole Albert, Jill Albert? That's how little I care about their names. I don't even remember who the hell they are because they're turds. Turd 1, turd 2, turd 3, turd 4, and turd 5. They're all turds. Real quick, though, we need to address this because it did just come in. Jacob's proud madre for 50 subs. Woo! Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Jacob's proud madre. Madre means mom if you don't speak the Espanol. But thank you for the support. That's big freaking support, you guys. Thank you for the support and your generosity. Thank you for the support. Big freaking support. All right. So let's get to this. Jim says, no, they're not turds. Turds serve a purpose. Oh. So, and Mariko says, yes, it's interesting. There's no Brian Higgins interview. Yeah. I'm sure the ATF has told Brian, don't give interview or we'll fire you. But anyways, let's listen to these turds as they float around in a septic tank.
Our lives just changed forever.
Why speak out now after the verdict?
We took what we thought was the high road.
Right.
Let the court do its job.
After a night of hanging out at a local bar in a brutal 2022
Yeah, we took the high road, all right.
blizzard, Brian and his wife Nicole hosted a late-night gathering at their home. An invitation had been extended to Reed and O'Keefe, but Brian Albert says neither of them ever entered his home that night. O'Keefe was found lying unconscious in the snow of Albert's front lawn. He was pronounced dead at the hospital hours later. The defense's theory? A violent altercation at the Alberts' home, possibly involving other members of law enforcement.
Did John ever come in the house?
Never. No.
Nope, but you knew he was supposed to be there. You saw his car out front, and then you saw it drive off. And you didn't go, that's weird. Why did that happen? Where did they go? Why aren't we calling them and texting them? Hey, you're at the right house. Come back. Isn't that a bit sus? But I mean, look at them. They're mongoloids. They just go, nah. I like Grant Smith Ellis.
You never saw John O'Keefe in the house, right?
Never.
These are people in your own community who believe the conspiracy theories, who believe that there were other law enforcement.
It's not really like a conspiracy theory doesn't mean it's wrong. I mean, it's a very credible theory at this point.
Officials and agents involved in this. Why is it people in your own community who believe these conspiracy theories?
You do realize for this conspiracy to be true, it would take 30 to 50 people. You'd have to have.
No, it would not take 30 to 50 people. I mean, just hold on, guys. We need to go back.
Own community who believe these conspiracy theories.
You do realize for this conspiracy to be true, it would take 30 to 50 people. You'd have to have multiple cops on 2 different police departments, multiple civilians, the medical examiner, firemen, EMTs.
You wouldn't, though. You wouldn't, though. You would need a bunch of people sitting there colluding. Hey, make sure you know what they say. The cops are coming. Here's what we need to talk about. You would need somebody like Jen McCabe going around saying, oh my gosh, I just talked to the FBI guys. Here they come. Well, who'd you call? I don't remember. 4 or 5 people making their stories consistent and feeding bullshit to the government and the police can shape an entire narrative. You don't need to have them all in on it if you guys have a solid story. This idea that it is impossible to happen, no. Remember, these are the same people who also destroyed their phones. They destroyed evidence. They wiped their phones and turned them in. They took their phones and threw them away on military bases. These aren't trustworthy people. They're very sketchy human beings. So the idea that you would need a massive conspiracy, no. 8 or 9 people in this case working together would be enough to conspire to cover something up. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. Hold on one second, chat. Sorry, chat. My lovely producer had to talk to me there. But yeah, they rehomed the dog. They sold the house for a $50,000 loss. Likely some work was done in the basement and other places. You can't trust these people. You can't trust these people. Not at all. Not at all. But let's keep going with this. Let's keep going with this.
You name it. That's how preposterous and silly this is. And great question. I don't understand how people bought this.
Brian Albert says he and Nicole only found out about John's death when Jen McCabe, who is Nicole's sister, barged into their bedroom.
She was just upset, and I immediately thought something had happened to one of her children or one of my children, because why else is she in my bedroom at 6:30 in the morning right now?
And what did she tell you?
She said, John's out front. I think John's dead out front. I said, what the are you talking about, Jen? And I'm like, I didn't know.
You still didn't piece it
I
together.
didn't understand what she was talking about, because why would John be out front of my house?
So massively confusing. There are police officers, EMTs on your front lawn. You're an officer. Why don't you just go outside and investigate or take a look?
I'm not a Canton police officer. I'm a Boston police officer. I was just woken up out of a cold sleep from hanging out the night before. By the time I came downstairs, the police were already in my house. John was already gone. There was nobody to save. I would have taken a bullet for John O'Keefe because he was a fellow cop. That's the most ridiculous question that people always ask. It makes 0 sense. What am I supposed to do?
Wait, how long did it take for you to come downstairs? Your friend, this guy you know, is outside in the yard dying, and you didn't run outside and flip slippers and boxers? This guy, I take a bullet for him. Well, what did you do? Well, I had to go get dressed, and I had to take a shower, and then I had to make sure my nails were done, and then I had to trim my beard. If this guy really cared to you, why were you not just running downstairs to go save him? It's not like you had to run across your the 40-acre woods. It's not, you're not running to the 100-acre wood to go save him. You're running outside 50 feet. I thought he was your broski. Why aren't you going to save him? Oh, he's like, no, I had to take my time, and it was cold out, so I put on my big wool socks. By the time I came downstairs, the cops were there. How long did it take you to get ready, sir? How long did it take you to get ready?
Run out front, my underwear, and start running yellow tape around the fire hydrant.
Over the course of the night.
Yes, if that's the guy you'd take a bullet for, you would have done that. That's what that means when you take a bullet for somebody. You would do anything for them, and instead you're you looked out the window and you're like, but I am you pulled a Homer Simpson. You're like, but I'm all nice and warm, snuggly like a cinnamon bun in bed. I'm gonna stay here for a minute. It's too cold and I am tired.
Reed called and texted John 52 times. She then called Jen asking for help to find John. Karen previously telling me she and John had gotten into an argument that night.
Would you say that you were angry with John that night?
Yes.
Could you have been angry?
So that and then it moves right on into what Karen and them did. So, yeah, isn't it interesting how they come up with these answers? It comes up with these answers here. It just, I don't know, guys. I don't know. But his feetsies would be cold. Yes, they would be. His footsies would be cold. It's so bad. How long does it take to put pants on? 3 seconds, 10 seconds? Yeah. And JoJo's right. Yes, it takes time to sanitize a crime scene. But you should have sanitized the crime scene before you went to bed. But yes, it takes a while to flush stuff. He was drunk off his ass, yes, but he doesn't want to admit to that. Although apparently he liked to drink in his car and lost a gun and all those other things. So Dewey says, I can roll out of bed and have pants on in under a minute. Yeah, 100%. Or at the very least, you can put on a pair of shorts and like shove your feet in some shoes and go outside. So if I go outside if a moose or elk is in my yard, but Brian Albert stays in his house, sure, yeah. He was staring out the basement window, cleaning the floor. I guarantee, like, I could see that as a real possibility that they were cleaning all night. Yes, I wish they would have done a more pressing interview, but I'm sure they said the moment you press us, we're walking. And ABC wanted the footage. They wanted the interviews. They had some of you guys saying, why did ABC even bother? Guys, you wanted to hear from them. We watched them. We just watched them and talk. A lot of you probably watched that that show live. You know how much money they made off that? That was totally worth it. Totally worth it to them. And I'm sure that Jen McCabe said, if you press us, we're walking. So you gotta preserve your work while you're doing it. Boston area women are disgusting fish people. Don't call people Mongoloids as an insult to people from Mongolia. Mongoloid used to be an actual term, so. Yeah, even butt-ass naked. Yeah, he had to feed Chloe. Oh. Oh, yeah. Yes, and this is true. I've seen, there have been cases, when I've been a prosecutor, I've used those type of statements as evidence against people like him. So yeah, like I like I said, guys, if you guys are new, I'm a defense attorney now, but for 2 years I was a prosecutor, assistant prosecutor. We'd use statements like this against them all the time. We have the untold number of you missed the best part about he didn't leave the house. Yeah. And John was under their window, yes. Is it like Copland? Kind of. This is kind of Coplandy vibed. So it's not really there. Oh. Ignatius of Antioch says that Flashcast last night was a disaster. Hey, Flash had fun. That's all. That's what matters most. I had fun. We got to talk about Ethan Klein's lawsuit. I was a Fed. No, I was only I worked in a county prosecutor's office. I did not work as a Fed. So who do you think killed her, and was that juror prescient about the hammer? I mean, can I buy the story that this was Brian Higgins, trying to fight John O'Keefe because Brian Higgins wanted to sniff a Karen's puss? Yeah, I totally buy that theory. Men have killed each other. Like, do I think it was an intentional murder? No, I'm betting they had a shoving match or something, or a punch, and John O'Keefe falls and cracks his head and dies, and they throw him outside. Totally believe that. And Chloe got involved. Like, I totally believe that theory. Men have killed each other over women. Men have killed each other over women who are, Karen Reed's she's a good-looking woman. There are men who have killed each other over some of the most hideous and ugly women ever. So I totally buy that theory. But I also buy the theory, and Hank brought it up. And Dr. Wolf brought it up. A fall could have caused it. And then Hank said to Dr. Russell, and also I believe to Dr. Laposado, how do you know those aren't bushes that made those marks? John, being a drunk guy, stumbling around, falls in some bushes, gets up, and then falls down and cracks his head. You know, drunk guy falls and cracks his head, tale as old as time, and dies. I think the jury bought that more than the idea there was a murder in the house. So, do I think after this trial is over now and listening to them, do I think it probably happened? Yeah, I think they probably killed him or something happened in the house and they covered it up. It wouldn't be the first time. Let's just say John walked in the house and slipped on the stairs and cracked his head open and died. I mean, college, that you hear about that all the time in colleges. Somebody gets hurt and they just throw them out in the front yard. How do you get the eye laceration? Falling in the bushes? I don't know. Except for the no holes in the arm of the sweater. Yeah. Yeah. This interview really kind of convinced me they had, I believed it's always a possibility, but I also think you could just convince a jury drunk guy falls down and dies is good enough. And I think the jury settled on that. Drunk guy fell down and died. And that's all you needed to sell. That whole thing in the first trial, Karen Reed was framed. They weren't going to be able to prove it. And it's a good thing they didn't try to prove that again. If they tried to prove that again, Karen Reed probably gets convicted. So thank God they didn't go down that road. They just went, hey, he's dead. So Brian Higgins is remaining silent, which is the smart thing to do there. So it's very smart for him to remain silent. Now, moving on from there, guys, we do have a bit of the cope from the anti-Karen Reed community. And it's interesting. It's interesting the cope these people have and what's going on here. So this has been funny. If you guys don't know who Wendy Murphy is, Wendy Murphy is an attorney out in the Boston area. And I don't know what the hell she does for a living, but she's apparently an attorney. And if you guys have been on Twitter, you've seen her. And she says, every prosecutor and cop I spoke with about Karen Reed said the jury selection has to change to screen out mentally ill and unintelligent people. It does. We generally are pretty good at screening those people out. We are very good at screening these people out. Because jurors in this case lack basic reasoning skills and were prone to conspiracies. Were they really? I find it hard to believe. The example, they should be asked whether the earth is flat. Turin Tremor says, I guess I'm not getting on the jury. So what happened from here with this comment is, guess who responded to her? Guess who responded to her? Guys, and it came out this morning. Ooh, lad. Just brace yourselves, chat. David Yannetti comes out. David Yannetti, guys. Yes, this David Yannetti. Karen Reed's lead attorney. Oh, geez. And he says, your post might be the strongest evidence that maybe Twitter has to change to screen out mentally ill and unintelligent people who lack basic reasoning skills. You're not speaking with any prosecutors or cops outside the Norfolk DA's office. The good cops and prosecutors are all calling to congratulate us on the justice that was done. Stop attacking jurors who gave up 3 months of their lives to uphold the highest ideals of our system. Stop with the bullying. Do us a favor and move on to your next opportunity to grift. Woo, buddy. Oh, buddy. Oh, no. Oh, no, chat. Wow. Now, if you guys have not followed along, I did a little bit of a, I did a little nice video of the entire, just the coping and seething from the Karen Reed people. I mean, the anti-Karen Reed people. And more has come out, but I did it in the aftermath of Friday. So we'll play that when we end if you guys want to stick around. But all the people I've been blocked by, Coffindoffer, Julie Grant, most of the main turds on the anti-Karen Reed side. But yes, it is interesting now. Even the defense attorney, like David Yannetti, I think really doesn't want to get involved in this. But for somebody like David Yannetti, after you watch the interview with Runkle, it says a lot that he felt he had to get involved now. It says a lot that he had to get involved here to basically put this bitch in her place. It says a lot about how things are denigrating and degrading right now and disintegrating. Yes. Tech guy's right. Magone! It's David Yannetti with the steel chair! Oh no! Oh, she needs to go to a burn unit. But it only gets better from there. It only gets better from there. You have people like John DePetro, guys, and this is John DePetro or Petro, whatever he is. He's the guy who's been kind of like Turtle Boy. He's been the anti-Turtle Boy. It's like there's, weight and counterweight, and him and Turtle Boy are kind of like, the mirror images of each other. Except Turtle Boy's not a douchebag, so John DePetro is a big douchebag. So John DePetro has been going on and on and on and on about Paula Prado because Paula Prado's from Brazil. So, and you guys could hear it when she was speaking. She has she's fluent in the English language. She's fluent to native fluency. She could converse in a professional setting. She's highly fluent in English. And listen to John DePetro. And this guy's been on Core TV a ton of fucking times. Just get a load of this shit.
I just think it's disgraceful. Her saying, and she's the one from Brazil. I think that he was walking around in his socks. There's no evidence of that. I think how you say her car touch him. I just think it's disgraceful. Her saying, and she's.
I mean, listen to that. He just can't cope. And
around in the show in his socks, she's making it up. In my country, maybe her car touch him. All right, now, I never realized Hank Brennan needed a translator for the jury. Wendy Murphy did a post saying that there was a guy in a jury. Everyone thought he was just polite and quiet, kept to himself. Turned out he didn't speak English. Oh, my.
I mean, listen to that shit. Listen to that. And Core TV gives this guy, they give this guy time on their shows. Core TV puts somebody like him on their shows. Not people like me, Runkle, Peter Tragos, Emily Baker. No, people like him, people like Jennifer Coffindoffer. I mean, people who are acting like truly insane people. Truly insane people. This is just absolutely disgusting. And remember, these guys can bitch and cry and mold and seethe and cope and piss and shit their pants all they want. Hank put that lady on the jury and thought she was good to go. So you really should be asked. You notice they won't get mad about Hank. It's just disgusting. It's just disgusting. It's disgusting what happens there. And I mean, like, it's to the point where it won't stop. This guy won't stop. And apparently John got catfished by somebody claiming to be a juror on this, which is kind of funny. So, I mean, we'll run with that. So suffer, John. But that is a funny part there. You have more and more and more things here. And going back to Paula Prado is getting a ration of just crap from these lunatics. I mean, this is where, like, John DePietro is not letting it go, or Petro. He's not letting it go. Others have flagged this as well, her statements, that she didn't testify right. And, you also see Julie Carpenter. She's one of the head anti-Karen Reed people. And I consider this a badge of honor. I got blocked by this woman. Who the hell is Julie Carpenter? She's a hack. But, this idea that you can do anything about this. I mean, here's the big point. The trial is over. Karen's got her verdicts. There's finality. Nothing's coming back. It's Dunsky. It's Dunny. If you like Jay-Z, it's Dunny. And, it's to the point where these people are screaming and crying about it. And, they're crying about it to a guy, Rick Schoenstein. He's actually one of the bigger guys on Law and Crime and Court TV. If you guys, Bob Mata knows him. He's been on Bob Mata's Defense Diaries a couple times. He's a commentator. And he says, "Hi, you two. I can't reply because John has blocked me." Well, that's a start. You can investigate the jury all you want, but I remind you it was a 12-0 verdict. Even if you found that one juror misled the court or was a plant, it wouldn't change the verdict. And here's the thing, guys. Even if there were plants, even if Karen Reed people snuck on the jury, I say this all the time. This is something, if you didn't know this, the Sixth Amendment guarantees a fair and impartial jury to the defendant. And I think I need to just restate that just real quick. When it comes to this idea if there were plants or anything like that were pro Karen Reed, it doesn't matter. The Sixth Amendment is a one-way street. Only one side's guaranteed that right. The state is not guaranteed the right to a fair and impartial jury. If the state can't get a fair and impartial jury, that's where, as a prosecutor, you should stop and go, if everybody doesn't like what we're doing, maybe that's a sign we shouldn't do this. You need to have to stop and have that moment of, Hans, of the baddies. Because if nobody believes you, why are you doing this? And then it becomes an issue of ethics and integrity, and they won't follow through on it. It's just, it won't matter here. It's Schoenstein or Sheen. Is it? I think it's Schoenstein. I think, I don't know for sure, but he's trying to explain to him. And he says, "Is it great that we're in a world social media can impact a jury?" No, but I will say it's great that we have social media so we can find out about people on juries. If you have ideas to better monitor, and I'm all ears. And if anyone who tries to harass or influence jurors should be prosecuted. Yeah, and I think we're starting to get to the point of people are harassing jurors at this point. We're starting to get to that point of people harassing jurors, and it's not good. It's not good. I think there are problems. I think we're starting to get into massive problems of people harassing the jury pool at this point. John DePietro actually came out with one where he's telling people, you should, oh, hold on. Where's the comment? Missed it. I missed it. He actually said, you should cooperate with the police now. You should cooperate with the police now. And it's just absolutely falling apart. It's absolutely falling apart what's going on here. These people have lost their damn minds. These people lost their minds. And here's another example of what he said. He said there must be an investigation. She's listing witnesses who testified in the first trial. They should question her, seize her devices, and get some answers. I mean, Karen, the funny thing is here, you guys, you kept on hearing from the anti-Karen Reed people, the Karen Reed community was a cult. Their narratives are crashing down all around them, and they can't, they're dissociating at this point. their narratives have collapsed. And I mean, I'm surprised. Like, these people are going to confront and harass her at some point. Like, I am truly, like, I'd be scared. Like, I actually think this woman Paula Prado has a right to be terrified right now. And I think I feel bad for her because in Massachusetts, you can't just go out and buy a gun. Like, this is Ohio. She could walk down the street, go buy a gun today and protect herself. But I think she probably needs one. She probably needs to own a gun right now because these people are going to show up at her house at some point. Like, we know that's going to happen. I mean, this insanity, and this is correct to it, something I was going to get to. Who's going to want to be on Turtle Boy's jury now for Turtle Boy? Turtle Boy has got to go to trial at some point. Who's going to want to be on that guy's jury? When people like Julie Grant, John DePietro, Grant Smith Ellis, Wolfgang Bodie. Notice I'm actually being nice to them. All these lunatics, and then all the other ones that are out there that, you know, have these horrible people. Like, there needs to be something there. Yeah, like what? Like, how do we do this? How do we do this? You know, Kate Peter, yes. All these people are going to be out there. You know, John is saying that he's told her, like, he's basically threatened her, you need to just turn yourself over to the police and admit what happened. And it's just, like, completely insane from these people. Completely insane. Like, these people are just completely lost their goddamn minds. And this is the one here, and it was hiding. He says, a message to Juror 11. Think of your children. You seem like a nice person. Think of how your 4 children will feel if you go to prison. You know, cooperate with police now regarding the person who approached you and got you roped into this. I mean, Jesus Christ. And like I said, guys, I'm not going to lie. Like, if I was near her, I'd be like, hey, Paula, you want to borrow this? I got something for you. You know, like, here. Although the sad thing is that's illegal in Massachusetts. You can't just give somebody a gun. But, like, look how insane this man is. This man is insane. This man is insane. You want to talk about intimidation and witness intimidation, all kinds of stuff? This is true intimidation. I mean, true intimidation. And that's the thing. If we're going to prosecute Turtle Boy, this guy needs to be roped up on charges. A lot of these people need to be on charges. This is just ridiculous. Where's Lieutenant Tully investigating this? Just absolute insanity. And from here, it only gets worse because apparently at some point, you know, her father-in-law, Paula's father-in-law, got in trouble for, like, charged for stealing U.S. classified missile documents or something. And it looks like he also may have had a case for, like, they're claiming a child pornography or something. I don't know. But listen to these people. Like, this is Grant shit smell us. Like, listen to these people. This is Towel Boy. He must have a towel stuck inside his brain or something. Just listen to him. Listen to these people. They need help, and they're not going to get it.
Thank you to all the Towel friends in the chat who are dealing with what I think is a sign that we are a little bit over the target, so to speak, because we are clearly riling some people up who are a bit concerned that they hitched their wagon to a juror whose father-in-law got caught stealing U.S. missile defense technology for an Arab state, and now we are potentially at war with Iran. So, yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be riled up today. I'm sorry about that. I don't know why you did.
Yes, chat. Yes, the Karen Reed saga is tied into the Middle East diplomacy crisis. Yes, it's not only I hit him, but now there's weapons trafficking and espionage. It's like a Robert Patterson and Brad Thor like kit bash. We're just shoving books together. And then Tom Clancy gets shoved into the middle of it too. You know, it's a Robert Patterson, Tom Clancy, and Brad Thor. And Vince Flynn. We're just going to shove them all together. And then Janet Ivanovich when more crime stuff is coming in. Like, that's what these people think.
Did that. Do you care about America or not? Towel loves America. Thank
Yes. And now it's about the fight for the soul of America, chat. It's the soul of America. You know, Karen Reed would not have supported that. Karen Reed would have not supported a drop of bunker busters on the Fordow nuclear facility. I mean, let's just listen to it. You got to love America. You got to love America. I mean, geez. Yeah, is this chat all Jannies? Yeah. Yep. Yeah, all the Eddie Karen Reed people are terrible. They are. They are all terrible. All of them. Yeah, Tio Hank, yes. Elmore Leonard as well. Yes. And then, I mean, we get to more stuff here. You have Jennifer Coffendoffer, and she did this morning. Too long, didn't read, don't want to read. And also, chat, once again, you gotta earn the badges of honor. Get blocked by these people. Don't tolerate them. Just snag when they make a post, snag it. You don't have to worry about it, but I'm proud to be blocked by this woman, this scumbag Fed. Remember, at the end of the day, Jennifer Coffendoffer is a Fed. She worked for an organization that's been nothing but corrupt since its founding. The FBI has done nothing but be evil. J. Edgar Hoover used them to amass blackmail throughout his entire tenure against politicians. They illegally wiretapped and surveilled people throughout the 40s and 50s. They sent letters to MLK telling him to kill himself. They tried to disrupt the civil rights movement. They did COINTELPRO and infiltrated anti-war movements and protest movements. They somehow screwed up the Weather Underground prosecutions, which makes you think they were probably involved in it somehow. Moving into the 70s with PatCon, the Patriot conspiracy they set up. And then there was Ruby Ridge, where they shot an unarmed woman holding her baby and murdered her. And then Waco. And then their connections to Oklahoma City, which are kind of sus. And then we have what they did after 9/11, where they sat there and orchestrated terror plots by luring in Arab guys who were mentally retarded or suffering from mental health issues and trying to set up terrorist plots they could bust themselves. And then doing it with various extremist organizations and groups going forward. The Whitmer plot. Crossfire Hurricane. All of it. All of it. The FBI is disgusting. So it's not a surprise she's a scumbag. She worked for an organization full of scumbags. The first World Trade Center incident too, yeah. You know, and not only that, but all their forensic stuff, their hair examination unit had to admit, yeah, we're garbage. We don't know what we're doing. Everything the FBI has done is basically collapsed. Everything. And sorry, I just had to say that because she needs to be called out for what she is, a charlatan, when it comes to the Constitution. And she says judges and jurors should be sacrosanct to the process. She said, it's hard to put in words my reverence I've had before. In my last 33 years would be amazing. The juries have been what they should be, untainted truth seekers. She says, I cherish all these interactions. I've spoken out about this one. Why? Because I believe it to be a disgrace to all I have held in the highest esteem. Was it a conspiracy? No. But Karen and her team set out to taint the pool. So what? She's allowed to do that. She should be allowed to do that. Remember, she's the only one entitled to a fair jury. Hank wasn't. It wasn't complicated and not disguised. They flaunted their goal. I believe they achieved it. Says, look no further than Juror 11. Watch as she was all too joyfully blasted. Look at her follow list. Listen to her. Was she honest on her worksheet? I don't know. Did you see it, Jennifer? She said, I believe this is a case of jury nullification like OJ. Well, I mean, I don't see how you could convict OJ based on everything that happened. I mean, is she going to claim that the glove not fitting wasn't a big deal? That Mark Furman being a scumbag was a big deal? So she says, let me further explain. And she said, let's talk about the foreman who said if a dead man was on his front porch, the police would have stormed his house. In the truest of Redditor fashions, what did she say? Well, the facts would show that John O'Keefe was not on the front porch. In fact, he was in the curtilage of 34 Fairview. See, I mean, he technically wasn't on the front porch. See, therefore he's wrong. It's like, you know what he meant, you fucking idiot. As close to the neighbor's front door as the other ones, the foreman disregarded this fact. No, he was talking briefly and factually. It's not actually. And curtilage is an actual thing, chat. That means the area in and around the house where you kind of enjoy. Although I don't think you could argue that the curtilage would be right on the street. So, nice try, Fed lady. Look at Juror 11. She talked about the jury's commitment to not hang influenced by their anger over the money spent. What? The jury is the community, and the community is allowed to say, we disapprove of what you've done here. That's the neat thing, chat. When you're on a jury, and you guys need to think about this. When you are on a jury, you have the ability to shape public policy. You may not be able to change how laws are done, but you have the ability to tell your community, we think this is okay, or we don't think it's okay. You could tell the people who are in charge of enforcing the laws, we don't like this. You shouldn't do it. We don't approve of this. It's one of the most direct influences you can have on your government at the local level. So yes, jury duty is critical in so many ways. It's something you guys should all think about. It is super critical. So, take a look at her further statement. She said merely dropped John off. Read reverse 24 miles an hour according to the evidence. We don't actually know that. We don't know that. We think the car went that fast, but if the tires were spinning and stuff, we don't know. Her taillight was embedded in John's shirt. Okay. The jury ignored this evidence. I mean, was it really embedded in there? How do you know? I could go on and on and on. But I believe she would have acquitted no matter what the evidence based on her own admissions. That's nullification, has nothing to do with reasonable doubt. No, but jury nullification is a critical thing. The community could say, we don't think you should prosecute this. Jury nullification is an inherent right jurors have. This is something that's been recognized back into the 17th century in common law England. 1679. That was acknowledged. Jurors can vote as they wish. If they wish to acquit, regardless of the evidence in front of them, so be it. We can't stop it. Jurors have the right to nullify. If you're on a jury out there, you have the right to do as you wish. If you wish to vote not guilty, great, do it. You're not allowed to vote the other way. If you don't see the evidence, you are not to vote guilty. But if you wish to nullify and acquit someone who is clearly guilty, you have every right to do that. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise. Now, I have to tell you, as an officer of the court in the state of Ohio, you have oaths to follow, and I can only tell you to follow those oaths. But I can also tell you if you disregard them, nothing's going to happen to you. And you still retain your common law rights, no matter what a court may tell you as a juror. (1679) Woo, yes. Bushell's case. A jury refused to convict the man, and the judge jailed the jury until they would come back with a guilty verdict. And the case went all the way up to a higher court in England under Charles II. And the higher courts said, no, you can't do that. They have the right to vote. You have to accept it. So it does happen. It does happen. It says, I've listened to every minute of both trials. I have read the court documents. I've talked to the victims, family, and friends. I have felt their pain. Did you talk to Karen and anybody from her side? Remember, this is the woman who made a big deal of like running up to the house, and as she ran away, like slipped and fell. You know, she's only talked with one side. Before anyone takes out of context my concern, what this case has done to our process, understand all the facts. I had the same sadness after the OJ verdict. Why? I respect the views who don't share my concern. Freedom of speech is imperative, but it would be remiss and wrong of me not to share the truth as I know it and call attention to what I see as a failed process. Suffer, Karen, or suffer, Jennifer.
Look at all these potential jurors. Look at all these potential jurors. You like that, Adam Lowry? You like that, Michael Morrissey?
This is Turtle Boy, shot on a potato camera.
We are getting to your potential jury pool. You told us to stop because we're too effective. But we're not going to stop. We're going to keep going. We're going to go stronger. We're going to put this all over the place. Look at all these potential jurors. You like that, Adam Lowry? You like that, Michael Morrissey? We are getting to your potential jury pool. You told us to stop because we're too effective. But we're not going to stop. We're going to keep going. We're going to go. To continue to spread the word. Every single person in Norfolk County needs to know the truth about Karen Reed and John O'Keefe. We are trying to affect the jury pool. We are. Yeah, that's exactly what.
Guys, none of that's illegal. He is allowed to affect the jury pool. He is allowed to affect the jury pool. He is allowed to. It's how it should work. Luke says it's so antithetical to the Sixth Amendment, it's insane. Yeah. It is. It is. Turtle Boy's shown he's got big balls. And you know what? I said this before, guys. Turtle Boy, you know, I have to give you you are the reason why Karen Reed didn't get convicted. Nobody would have ever known about this. I wouldn't have known about it or cared about it had you never brought this up. Do I still agree he probably could have done some things to insulate himself from getting charges? Sure. And he was a little bit of an idiot. And I won't call him a dumb fuck for the way he did it. But no, he's done God's work here. He's been the First Amendment, and he should be acquitted of all of this. Shouldn't be charged with any of it, but that's, we're at that point. They're not going to give this up. So no, I hope like hell he wins. And when he's done, I want to talk to him. I mean, maybe I'll see if he wants to talk before that, but I wish him the best of luck on this. He should win. And if that trial is televised, we are going to cover it because what he did was journalism. Pure and simple, and only journalism. So, and then guys, the last one here, this is funny because Victoria George, she is the attorney who was the alternate on the first trial. And she said on the 20th, she has she's a long-time lurker, first-time poster. So she has her account fired up. And then this guy here, Wolfgang Chody. I'm sorry, chat. Wolfgang Chody. I'm sorry, Bodie. Bodie is his name. Wolfgang Bodie. Not Chody, although he is a chode. He says, please go back to the kids' table. Your 15 minutes are over. We have a new juror lawyer now. Sorry. It's like, brother, your 15 minutes are over. Your 15 minutes are over. I'm sure you got a lot of X money from all this stuff, but it's over, brother. Your time's over. Just accept the fact that you guys lost. Just accept, take your L's. Be an adult, learn to take an L. And then the biggest L's, the biggest copes and seethes are from the Massachusetts State Police. PH says, what did Turtleboy get charged with? Witness intimidation. Witness intimidation. Intimidating the Alberts, the McCabe's. He's charged with witness intimidation. Multiple counts. So. Anyways, this is the best. The MSP extends its sincere condolences to the loved ones of Boston Police Officer John O'Keefe. The events of the last 3 years have challenged our department to thoroughly review our actions and take steps to deliver advanced investigative training. You mean like filling out an evidence log? That's not really advanced investigative training. Not discussing the case with other people who are not entitled to it. Not acting like an asshole in your investigation. I mean, that's an advanced investigative technique, chat. They didn't know you couldn't do this. They didn't know you couldn't do this. Developing better crash investigators. Do we need to ensure appropriate oversight? Well, yeah, that's true. And enhance accountability. You know, you didn't fire Buchanan. You didn't fire Tully. You didn't fire DeChico. You only fired Proctor, and only after the trial the first time around. Under my direction as Colonel, the state police has and will continue to improve in these regards. Are you really going to improve? Do you really think anybody believes you? Our focus remains on delivering excellent police services that reflect the values of professionalism and maintain public trust. That's a really long way of saying, oh my God, we're so sorry that if we hadn't have been really shitty at our jobs, we probably would have got a conviction. They're just saying, sorry about that. Sorry, you know how these things are. Oh. More cope. More cope. More cope. More cope. Yes, it's one thing they need to perform the basic duties. Yes. What they call advanced, every other police department would call basic. All right, chat. We got to catch up on some other things here. Jane and John Doe for £5 sterling. The King Sterling says, it's like ignoring your CTEs doesn't make you a small law firm in central Minnesota. Yes. Yes. Ignoring your CLEs is very important. Thank you, Jane and John. I appreciate it. Jesus Loves You for $2 says, thanks for streaming midday. Well, thank you. Tom says, Brian Albert was a first responder. He's mandated to act. I don't know about that because he's a police officer. He may not be. And already, if there's already EMS and people on scene, he probably doesn't have to at that point. But, you know, in some situations, he might have to. Mavka says, it's still insane that Kate Peter of the Cyrax trolling fame is notable in this universe. Well, I mean, remember, guys, I learned of Turtle Boy when I was following a sovereign citizen, Chili DeCastro, and covering the stuff with him. So it's interesting how these roads and all the webs that get woven, all the webs that we weave, you know, end up where we are. Mother Oates says the voters have spoken will be Morrissey's next statement. And it should be. It should be. Stephanie says there's no winning for a defendant no matter how they look and act. That can be true at times. But you got to do your best. Like I've had clients before, like we're sitting there getting ready for trial. And I'm like, look, hey man, you got to shave your beard. You know, you're got to get a haircut, learn to put your hair in a ponytail. And they're like, well, I'm not doing that. I'm like, you look like you sell meth to people. They're not going to believe you on anything else. And like, I've had fights with clients before about presenting a good look. And it helps, but yeah, you can easily screw it up regardless. Brenda Plunkett says, hi, Sean, chatters, and the mods. Well, thank you. Hi, Brenda. And SUTB. I think means shut up, Turtle Boy. Shut up, Turtle Boy! Says, these jurors are stupid. Safa. No basic common sense or very low basic IQ. Safa. Just keep coping. The system needs changing. No, it doesn't. It's the best system in the world. I would not want to face criminal charges in any other country but the United States. She got away with murder. Maybe she did. I don't know. You know what would help? You know what would help make us feel better if the police had done their job. Once again, you're mad at you're mad at the linebacker for sacking the quarterback. Go cry to the linemen about them not doing their job. You know, the sheepdogs did not, you know, like it's not that Giannetti did his job. Go get mad at Hank. Didn't even know TV clips were evidence. Well, I mean, you know, were they supposed to consider those? How were they supposed to consider those? I mean, because unlike other things, those were not offered with any foundation. So I understand why a juror might not understand their evidence. They were offered with no foundation. They were just entered in evidence. And I can understand why a jury would be confused about that. But still, in the meantime, suffer, cope, and sneed, and piss and shit your pants. Suffer. Quote the great Ethan Ralph. Moonchild says, hi, Sean, and hi, chat. Well, hello. Robert Lawrence gifted 5 subs. Robert, thank you for the support and your generosity. So you are separated. Says, it's disgusting that media would even interview them. Like I said, they've got to. That's an interview you can't pass up. It's must-see TV. And besides, we want to hear from them. I wanted to hear from them what they were going to say. I mean, now we know what they said, and now we know they're probably guilty as shit. So it's a good thing they interviewed. Jacob's Proud Madre again giving 50 subs again. Thank you. You know, Jacob, your mom is so cool. If you're out there. Philip Cogans for $5 says, I still think the most plausible explanation is that he came in the house through the garage, got jumped by the dog, and panicked when they found him. Could easily be. Could easily be. Jacob's Proud Madre, been here for 3 months, says, hey, I'll take a second to hit that like button. Yes. And guys, I'm just catching up on these real quick, and we'll get to more of your questions and stuff here in a second. Just people super chatted that, you know, they deserve to be heard, and I don't want to keep them waiting for too long. Chugi Show says, did the neighbors also claim not to hear anything? Yes. Not So Goodland for $2 says, is Morrissey still MIA? The news can't find him. Yep, he's hiding. He's hiding. Got to take his L's. Let's see here. Derna for $5 says, what I don't get about entrapment is why doesn't anyone prosecute the entrapping officer for participating in a criminal conspiracy? I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you there. But that's because nobody wants to prosecute the police. You know, the prosecutors and the police are friends. So they'll never do that. Future Mrs. Martin 2.0 gifting 20 subs. Let's go, chat. Let's go. Big support out there, you guys. Derna also says, in the good old days, anyone lazy enough to endure the boredom of police work could be a cop. Now, they also have to be stupid. Yes. Yes, it's a dangerous combination, stupid and lazy. And Jesse has been a member for 2 months. Thank you for the support, Jesse. I truly appreciate it. Let's see here. What do you guys also have? Manny says, chat, we need 60 people to hit subscribe. Well, guys, please hit like and subscribe. I would appreciate it here. Ghost is saying, the media interviews both sides technically required for balance and fair coverage. Yes. And Gene is saying, thank you for being here, Gene. Says, I started following this trial, listening to Turtle Boy and Howie Carr. It caught my interest. Never heard of Turtle Boy till then. We should thank Howie Carr as well. Yeah, Howie Carr is critical. Alan Jackson actually got Howie Carr's his first interview. He called into Howie Carr, and he pointed out like Bev needs to do better. Now it sucks because he's gonna have to be back out there probably that he's minding his P's and Q's. Simone Miller, and also thank you for being here, Simone. A lot of new faces. Thank you guys. Says they lied to the grand jury. What does that tell you? It tells a lot. And Proctor, please, that's an injustice right there. I agree. I 100% agree. Let's see. Yes, they made themselves look even worse. Yes. And the box sport defendant, Daryl Brooks. Oh, that's a great name. More seriously and less trolly, it kind of seems like Hank threw the case. I can't figure out why he did such a piss poor job with everything. He didn't throw it. Hank tried. I'm sure Hank believed it. And Hank was paid very well. He didn't if he wanted to throw the case, he could have thrown it a million different ways. But somebody like Hank isn't going to throw it. I think Hank really believes Karen did it. And if Hank threw that case, I mean, you guys think his reputation's bad now? That would make him even worse. That would really make his name dirt in the community. He could get charged. He could have bar discipline for that too, throwing a case like that. No, it wasn't. He didn't throw it. He just had a bad case. And I think Hank thought he was doing a great job and thought he had a winning hand. And I think he thought he could do it all himself. So remember, he did basically everything. He did almost all the testimony. Lally helped out once in a while. And then McLaughlin just did all the writing. Hank was a one-man band. And I think he thought he was better than everybody else. And that's what happened here. So I don't think he threw it. It's just Hank was a good attorney who had a bad case and, had spent too much time huffing his own farts on this one. He believed his own case too much and wasn't objective about it. Simone says the Commonwealth didn't have a bona fide case. I agree. Mojo Rising says she didn't kill John. I agree. Shut up, Chrissy. And guys, there's so many new people here. Guys, thank you for stopping by. Once again, my name's Sean. I'm an attorney out in Cleveland, Ohio. So if you guys don't know me, that's what I do here. And we trial stream, we cover legal stuff. We do all kinds of stuff out here. So it's a fun time. It's a fun time, I promise. But yes, saltier than Lot's wife. That is a good one. I like that. Yes. You got to turn it back because she's just a pillar of salt. Oh. Let me see here. Let me see. Yes, fire Dever in her false memory. You know what, though? That's going to be anytime she testifies now in court, you can bring that up and use it against her, that she is prone to false memories. She can't be trusted. Uncivil Law, how you doing, Kurt? Guys, Kurt at Uncivil Law, friend of the show, has been crushing it in his Karen Reed coverage. Give him a look if you haven't. I'm sure a lot of you have. C says, did you see that Karen Reed bailed out Paul O'Keefe after he was arrested for DUI just a few months before John O'Keefe was killed? I did not know that, but that's hilarious. That is very, very interesting. So You're Separated says, the thing is, how many innocent people get convicted due to no knowledge? This is the future the world is watching. Well, here's what I'll say. Yes, there are innocent people who get convicted, but a lot of times people who get convicted, they did a crime. They just didn't do that specific crime. So, for example, they may have committed robbery, but they didn't murder the guy. Or they may have done X, but they got convicted of something worse. And there's times where you have to fight through that, and you have to fight to show, look, he didn't do this, he only did that. But yeah, there's a lot of people who have been convicted for something they didn't necessarily do. There are bad cops all over. There are bad test labs. In Colorado, they have a DNA expert who is considered the DNA whisperer. She botched and intentionally fucked over 1,000, like 1,800 cases. She fabricated DNA results, and now she's facing trial for like a couple hundred charges of forgery and perjury. In Massachusetts, it's actually a Netflix episode. There was a tester in a drug lab who was stealing drugs for herself. I mean, it's not just the cops. You have crooked cops, crooked DAs, crooked crime lab people. There's a lot of problems. And this idea, if you type in state crime lab scandal, Google's going to be like, which one? A lot of state crime labs have had scandals. So, and all within the last 20, 25 years. Ben says, have you ever chokeslammed a client? No. Sheeple Hunter says, send Chili the link. Oh my god, I would not send Chili the link. That would be awful. Lilith is saying any juror would want to know what else was said in those interviews. I think so too. And remember, Hank doing those as jump cuts, nobody's gonna like. Everybody knows those are jump cuts. It's very much like on The Simpsons when Homer gets interviewed by the tabloid TV show, and they cut Homer's interview up, and you can see the clock. The clock starts like jumping around everywhere, and you can tell they're doing it to make him look bad. So, yes, Runkle got that guy nuked. I am aware of that. Let's see here. Yes, Morrissey's hiding behind Bev, hiding behind Brennan, hiding now. We need Twitter trolls to hide. Yes. Kurt said I had a nice workout in my new glasses for light sensitivity, right? Well, there you go. Good stuff. Good stuff. And let's see here. Let me see, catching up. Howie Carr got called as a witness at a trial. They don't want him reporting on, just like they did to Turtle Boy. Well, just because you're called as a witness doesn't mean you can't report. So I think you have to be careful. And Hank tried to do that with the defense team. He tried to screw with them and list them out for stuff. So like I said, my view of Hank is he's dirt, and I don't trust him. So I would never trust Hank anymore. Never trust Hank anymore. Yes, at the end of the case, it was obvious he was feeling defeated when he said he wouldn't do a rebuttal. I agree. I was going to say if he threw the case, couldn't he get sanctioned? Yeah, I think he would possibly face that. Mariko is saying, why couldn't have just been money? Why is Hank taking the case? I mean, maybe Hank was promised by Morrissey, like, I'll quit and you can take over. I mean, there could be any number of reasons why. We don't really know. But yeah, the money alone isn't a thing. I mean, who really knows what these guys promised him, but it certainly did happen. So I mean, you can't deny that it hasn't happened. I would make that argument to you. Hank is a dirty attorney. Well, yeah. Does anyone know why the hospital didn't take dog bite swabs? They didn't necessarily know they were dog bites. No. Territory says, I think Yannetti did enough to ruffle feathers in Massachusetts. I don't think so. You know, the problem is David Yannetti's highly respected. So David, like, it's one thing if you go after like little people. David Yannetti's big time in that state. The guy's got multiple offices all over Boston. He's well known. He's a well-known, well-respected attorney. Like, if they try to go after him, they have to be careful about who they fuck with. It's one thing to fuck with Karen Reed or little people, but you start fucking with people like David Yannetti, you know, like David Yannetti knows how to fuck back. So they have to be very careful about who they mess with. So I don't think he has to worry about moving anywhere. So will the crime lab tech be charged with putting holes in the back of the sweater? No, she cut those out for DNA or for comparison analysis. So no, she was doing her job. There. That was entirely what she should do. That was in accordance with everything. I mean, if you're joking and being facetious, obviously not, but I think it's clear she was doing her job there. So we're all here for Clyde. Well, I don't know if he'll even come in here. Hold on, let me see if I can grab him. Let me see. Hey, Clyde. You guys are new. I got a surprise for you. Clyde. Come here, buddy. Come here. Well, I guess you guys aren't going to get to see him. All right. You guys will get to see him in a second. That was a surprise. So let's see. Hank was rather defending the Alberts and the McKays, which didn't have our best interest. Yeah. Elf Fire Ava is saying, I've read some bar questions from Ohio. Amazing. Oh, hold on. Oh, hi, buddy. Are you here? So, guys, if you didn't know, this is Clyde. He is the channel dog. He is our bestest boy. He's such a good boy. He got his hair cut yesterday, and he still smells like the groomer. So, he's such a good boy. Hey, look at this. Look at buddy. No. Look at camera. Look at the camera. Anyways, this is Clyde. So, you've read some bar questions from Ohio. It's amazing. Yeah, you can read other state questions too. Yes, Ohio doesn't have the hardest bar in America, but it's not the easiest either. It's Deaver. It's whatever the fuck. I can call her dumb bitch if I want to. Digital Void gifting 5 subs. Guys, thank you for all your support tonight. This is a big support. I appreciate it. He needs to move to a state and ruffle another. You think he needs to move to another state? No, I mean you moving into somewhere like that. It takes time to build up the power and connections and capability. So it would take another lifetime to do that. Where do the protesters get all the printed signs? Yes. Are we going to live stream Iran suing in the International Criminal Court? That'll be hilarious. I don't know if they have yet. So let's see here. What are Clyde's thoughts on the current situation with Iran? Well, I think he was like me. At least we know the bunker busters work now. We had to find out. Do you think on top of a deal with Morrissey that the McAlberts doubled down on it by adding a couch to the deal? Probably. Oh, yes. Yes. Sakaki saying it's the best boy. Yes, he is. He's such a good boy. He is such a good boy. He's a very good dog. I'm very fortunate to have him. Digital Void says, for 1 month, thank you. Says, I've been out of the loop on my honeymoon. Well, congratulations. I hope you enjoyed it. Congratulations to you on your wedding. So sorry if this has already been talked to death, but was Yannetti and the female lawyers' role in the defense? Well, Yannetti was the first attorney Karen Reed got a hold of. She contacted Yannetti when she was in jail. And Yannetti's been with her from almost day one. Through thick and thin. I mean, he was kind of the lead. I mean, he wasn't like, if you listen to him talk, he wasn't the lead attorney, but he kind of like helped run the show. He was the attorney who pro-hawked in Alan Jackson and Bob Alessi. So he was very critical to the case. And then Eliza Little, she was there. I mean, she did a lot of the motion work and a lot of behind the scenes stuff, but she was very critical of the team. Bob Alessi and Yannetti on the interview with Runkle were very, very, very good about her. Like, she did a ton of work on this case. They were all important in their roles. Alan Jackson, yeah, he was the guy up there doing all the talking for the most part, but that doesn't mean they weren't as important. I mean, it's like saying on a baseball team, like, yeah, the second baseman being pretty good or a shortstop being good at his job is critical, but you also need a good first baseman. You need a good right fielder. You need a good center fielder. You need everybody to be good at their jobs. What do you think, buddy? Huh? Come on, do you need me to put you down? I think he wants to go see 2.0. The future Mrs. Martin 2.0. I think he wants to go see her because he's not interested in us today, chat. He's not interested in us. There you go, buddy. But if you guys subscribe and you watch more shows, you'll get to see more of Clyde all the time. Because he always comes in. Blue Varro for $20. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it very much. Very much. Thank you. Guys, thank you for all the support today. We were just going to be like, oh, I'm just going to hop on for a minute and We're like 2 hours later. I thought it was only going to be like an hour long. He says, I still don't understand with the victim in the front yard, the cops aren't going in the house right away to see if anyone else is injured or worse. Well, they admitted that they didn't, so just another layer of incompetency. And yeah, I mean, it just shows you the Canton police didn't know what the hell they were doing. Remember, those same cops refused to go back and get an evidence collection kit because it was really hard and it was snowing hard. And I'm tired, and they were just being lazy. They didn't bother to go get a collection kit. So, what do you know? What do you know? It is what it is there. Winston for $2 says, Sean, you are my favorite attorney and my favorite racist. Well, at least I'm your number one pick. At least I'm your number one pick. J Ray says, damn USPS. Yeah, well, yes. Mel C, how you doing, Mel? Says Reed's, in my opinion, they had to street fight. OJ's was rigged like a Vegas street fight. Less rounds, more hype. See, I don't think OJ's was rigged. I mean, at the end of I know you people by the theories that that the whole the glove and OJ wore a tight watch and they took him off his medicines to make his hand swell up. But there was so much in that case that didn't make sense. How Detective Van Adder had, basically took evidence home with him. He never ever done it before. Mark Furman. There were enough problems in the case. I could see the jury doing that. But also, maybe at the end of the day, one of the jurors now is saying we totally did it for Rodney King. It's well, there you go. Cops don't do shitty things and action and reaction. That's the way it works. The way it works. Yeah. Bucket Blood knows the meme I'm talking about. Would take a nap. Then go get the evidence collection stuff. Let's see here. Did you see that Juror 17 was trolling them and he was going to put them on air with Jen McCabe and Kerry Roberts? Yeah, which is hilarious because that would be funny as a trolling thing right there. A deacon ran over an active shooter in Wayne County, Michigan. Wow. Clyde is a cutie, and I say that as a biased fur baby mama that thinks my Chihuahua is better than everyone else's dogs. Yes. And also, guys, while you're here, Maddie sent me this, and there's no sound for it, but it's Clyde. It's Clyde being Chef Clyde. So I do, and we don't need the sound because there isn't sound. But this is the amount and capabilities of, if this works, this is absolutely hilarious because it looks 100% like Clyde. Let me see here. Here, screen, window. Here we go. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear this, but here's Clyde. Oh, very funny. He's a good little boy. Also, the unsanitized Stop and Shop bags. Yes. Ruthie Robles say, just described to you. Thank you, Ruthie. I appreciate it. Pyramid 7 says Brian Albert's son was the killer. I mean, it could be. I still think Brian Higgins wanted, like I said, he just wanted a whiff of Karen and whiff of her backside, and him and John chawed off over it. I totally think that happened. There was Dennis Fung, yeah, the 9-Day Cross by Barry Schenck. Barry Scheck of the Innocence Project cross-examined Dennis Fung for 9 days. Everybody learned about DNA at that point. That was a brand new thing to talk about DNA at a trial. Gene saying, I wonder if David Yannetti has the move because of harassment. They have a major problem in that town. No. People like David Yannetti, and he's going to look at these people and say, piss on these turds. He's not afraid of these people. And he shouldn't be. I mean, I've had victims and other people and their family members get mad at me and threaten me before, and it's like, Have a nice day, sir. If professionally I could walk out of there and say, I dare you to fucking do it. I dare you to come to my house. You'd better come heavy if you do. I'd probably get in trouble for that. But you just go, have a nice day, sir. And you walk out the door and you go about your day. People are all hat and no cattle. They talk shit and there's nothing you can do about it. So that's the main thing here. Anybody who threatens you, it's like, there are people in my life that I've run into. There's about 5 of them. They said they're coming to kill me. I would believe they're coming to kill me, and they're I'm definitely terrified they could probably do it. But most people say they're going to do anything to you. Piss on those turds. They ain't. They're all they won't. All they'll do is sing it. They won't bring it. They'll talk about it. They won't be about it. Raven says, just recently received a gift in membership and so glad I found your channel. Hello from a fellow lawyer in Canton, Ohio. Well, thank you for being here, man. I appreciate it. But yes, Canton, Ohio, if you guys don't know, that's a suburb. Well, it's attached to the Cleveland metropolitan area. It's not really a suburb of Cleveland, but yeah, it's about an hour away. So hope you're doing well down there. Hope you're having a nice day, because it is. I'm up here over in Lake County, up by the lake, and it is hot as heck up here today. So, yeah. Gene is saying for $10, thank you for the super chat, saying, buy Clyde a treat. We definitely will. He's a good boy. He will get all the treats he has. We can give him. Barbara says this case was a failure from the start. I agree, Barbara. Or you're saying my stream. I'm not sure which, but we'll assume you're talking about the trial. Let's see here. Trying to catch up. You guys, chat is popping. Trying to keep up here. Jesus says there's ham on that sandwich. I know, and I don't like it, but that's why when ham, like Dr. Wrench was like, I ate a ham sandwich, and I'm like, no. Couldn't have eaten a better sandwich than a ham sandwich. Ham sandwiches are nasty. Oh, no, OJ's son. Oh, I think OJ's son did it. And I think OJ's wounds are from trying to stop his son. Because, guys, remember, OJ had kids with Nicole, but OJ also had kids from prior marriage. And those kids thought Nicole was a gold digger and she was stealing all his money. And I still think the theory that OJ's one son went out and killed them is correct. And OJ came across it. I really think that's what happened. Say, Christ, sometimes my autism is off the mark. Well, it's normally pretty good. Okay, let's see here. Joe Kelly says, I don't think Brian Albert would cover for Higgins, but he might be arrogant enough to do that just so he wouldn't get sued. Yeah, well, I think they kind of all have to cover for each other at this point. It's too late now. They're all stuck in it. Simone says, Canton, Ohio's in Stark County. I live there. Yes, I live up in Lake County. So, and you guys have some interesting stuff down there. You guys have the 2 cops that are going to be standing trial for the murder of that guy who had a DUI when he fought the cops. So that's going to be very interesting going forward. The problem is that case is under Frank Turner, I think, is the guy who got killed. That case is under a gag order. So it sucks. There's nothing to cover, really. Mike says, I'm up here in Lake County by the lake. You don't say, Sean. Lake County, you know how many states have a name for Lake County? And yeah, there's a bunch. Winston says in Switzerland, they have cantons, which are similar to states in the United States. Yes, they do. And then Chef Clyde, who's been a member for 1 month. And look in chat, that's not me or 2.0. But look at him. It's Clyde when he was wearing his chef's hat. He's so cute. He's such a good boy. He says, buy super chat so I can make more food. Yes, help out Hank. You want Clyde to have a good time? Buy super chats. Mel says the glove did shrink from silk blood. That's why it didn't fit. I think his son was with him. Well, and here's the thing. If that was something that could have happened, the prosecution never prepared for that. And that's a big negativity on their part. I think either of them could have done it. Did you see the interview? If I did it, yes, I did. Yes, I did. I saw the interview. Yeah, I remember that interview. It was hilarious. Akron, Canton does have a nice small airport. Yes, it does. You can get in or out of it. Winston says, which is the worst country in the developed world? I mean, there's going to be a lot of countries jockeying for that title. Bella said his son had been at work. I mean, was that ever confirmed that his son was working? OJ's son was at work. It was OJ. Are you sure? I had heard that too, but I didn't know it was confirmed that he was at work. If it is, then I guess I lose that theory. Chef Clyde for $4.99. Thank you, Bubba. You're such a good boy, Clyde. Please help a dog who is also out of bull peens. You guys don't know what bull peens are, chat. They take bull penises and they like dry them out, and they're like, it's like pig's ears for dogs. They chew on them. Yes. In the arms of an angel. Oh. It was OJ's Coke dealer. Oh. Ancient Trooper says, Jason was a sous chef. He quite literally had a set of knives on him that very night. Jason had a punch-out ticket to clock out of work, but that night he didn't use it. Matt says, judging by freeways, the worst country in the developed world is Belgium. Good to see you, Mads. Hope you're doing well. Let's see here. Where is Kanakistan? Yeah, Canada's okay. Canada's okay. Are you a glove expert? A little bit. Clyde the dog for $3.88. I'm pretty sure it's EDW Raptor says, I am the real Clyde. No, look at me. Look at me. I am the dog now. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You guys are ridiculous. Let's see here. Okay. I think just check up on Twitter, make sure nothing crazy has happened since we've been here. Okay, that's a funny. I wish I could. There's so many people that send me stuff. It's hilarious. Let me see, guys. No, I don't have anything new I can throw out there. Nope, I think we're all set. I think we're all caught up. So, I think we're all set here, guys. And Kitty says, no, I am Clyde now. Yes, and now he is Spartacus. All right, chat. Yes, the Bronco chase was weeks after the murders. Yes, it was. Well, it wasn't weeks after the murders. It was pretty quick after the murders. And yeah, and that's when OJ and we learned about AC Cowlings. We also learned that Robert Kardashian may have disposed of some evidence. Just that's an allegation. Chat, shh. Chat, no. Don't say that out loud. Don't say that out loud about Robert Kardashian. No. Shh. Can't say that. Can't say that. What do we do now? I don't know, guys, but I'm getting ready to go see my parents. We weren't able to get together for Father's Day, so we're doing Father's Day today. And what better day to do when it's like 90 degrees outside? Oh, gotta go shoot the bows and fun stuff while we're hanging out. So that's the best time to practice archery is when it's just like the sun's like, hello, right here on the back of your head. Rain Man, YKF, my membership was butt tailed. That's a hell of a name. For $5 Canadian, also known as 5 loonies or 2.5 toonies. Remember, chat, don't bring your dollar coins to the strip club. The strippers will get mad if you try to make it rain. He says, hi from Ontario, Canada. Well, hello out there. Hello out there. Thank you for the super chat. So, guys, that is it. Yeah, everybody loves you, Nettie. Yes. All right, guys. So what do we have from here? Well, I think a lot of Karen Reed's saga is over, but Turtle Boys is still to go. Don't forget about him. Don't forget about him. It's going to be very critical going forward that he has support. I really do, and I mean that. Support Turtle Boy. He's going to need it. He's tough and all that, but knowing people are behind him helps make it easier. So let him know you support him out there. If you can throw in money, great. But if you can't, just let him know you support him. Let him know you're thinking about him. Let him know you're there. You're behind him. You're going all the way with him. I mean, that's what you got to do it. You got to do it. He would appreciate it. His trial is coming up. I want to cover it, and I'm going to figure out. I got to talk with Mike from the Young Jerks, because we might. I don't know if he wants to get together again in the meantime, but I want to see it happen. I want to see Turtle Boy's trial. We should see it. It should be in the bright of day. I don't think Long Crime's going to cover it or Core TV, but somebody should. And by God, if that's got to be me, then I'll be the guy who covers it. I don't care. Turtle Boy's innocent. He's not guilty as shit. And we'll do that. We'll do that as we do it. And we'll see even more coping and crying and salt mining. The streets of Canton, Massachusetts will be snow-free for the next decade with the amount of salt we're going to find. Corey Riches is coming up too. Yes, there's a lot of stuff this summer. A lot of stuff this summer. So we will definitely do it. Yes, Mark Betterow is on his team. Yes. He's got great attorneys. Tim Bradle and Mark Betterow are doing great. They're doing awesome work. They will crush it. But still, in the meantime, Turtle Boy has to deal with the trial, which is such garbage. Mill says, will you address her civil trial? Yeah, if that starts chugging along, it will. But I don't think they can. Even at the preponderance of the evidence standard, the 51% level, they can't prove anything. They can prove she was drunk, but you're going to have to get around the ARCA things, the issues of the medical examiners. Like, I don't think they have a case. They're going to be totally in trouble. They're also going to have to bring up the fact that Karen was acquitted of the murder and the manslaughter. So, Paul and Peggy are going to have, it's going to be tough for them. It's going to be tough for them. It is not going to work well. It's not going to work well. Yeah, Brian Koberger's coming up too. Yeah. Yep. But I think Karen Reed's going to have a, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, the Adelson trial. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff this summer. But yeah, like I said, guys, Turtle Boy really, like I said, don't forget about him. The entire Karen Reed saga is not over yet. And I would argue his is just as critical as Karen. So with that said, chat, we are going to be done for today. I don't plan on streaming again tonight. I've got some stuff I'm going to work on. And then tomorrow we'll be back to our normal schedule of things. We'll be over at Locals. And guys, you want to join us over at Locals, potentiallycriminal.locals.com. You could join us. We do the Monday night show starting at 8:30. Use the promo code summertime 2025 to join us. And then later, chat, during the week, we always do a weekly Thursday night show, because if it wasn't Thursday, it would make no sense to call it the Thursday night show. We cover a lot of different legal things that happen throughout the week. And we'll be back to normal with those starting at 9:30 Eastern. So join us there. It's a very fun time. I think you guys will like it. If you guys enjoyed me so far, it's a lot of the same stuff. You get the same me as you're seeing today. So I hope to see you guys there going forward. I would appreciate it. And yeah, that's it. That is it. Are we going to do a Medicare snipe tonight? Well, it depends if I get back in time. If not, no. I don't know, guys. I don't know what time. Probably not, just given that I'll be hanging out with my parents today. So probably not. So you guys will be all right. You guys will be all right. Liz says, glad to have found you in my feed. Have fun today. Well, thank you. I thank you guys all for being here. Guys, thank you for all the support. I appreciate it. Big support from everybody. So cool. It was a great day. And with that said, guys, just remember until next time, just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. Especially Karen Reed. I mean, guilty of DUI, but it's a DUI. We've all had those. No big deal. No big deal. Where it mattered most, not guilty. And Turtle Boy, where it matters most, not guilty. That's all you need to worry about, chat. So, guys, thank you, everybody. Have a great night. And to all the anti-Karen Reed people out there, cope and sneed. Good night, chat.